I desire a new perspective on life. I knew I did not want anything to do with my past. It was so destructive, and I wanted something new going forward, and I did not know what that was. But I was seeking. I was able to see men who were sharing vulnerably around the things, the stuff that we all struggle with. They were being open and honest, and they were sharing, hey, this is where I was, and here is where I am now, and they were openly talking about it. I've never been around that type of conversation where someone openly shared their problems and how they got help from it. People talk about that. Men talk about that. I'm not the only one that's experiencing this issue. And what I was experiencing was, it was destroying my life, killing my thoughts, stealing my self-worth, and ruining my relationships around me. I had this view of God, that God loved everyone and just tolerated me. Sense that I had that I'm just not worthy, I'm not good enough, that I'm a failure in life. I'll never forget that change that happened to me when I fully was like, all right, I am done being on the throne of my life. I am finished being on the throne of my life, and I am ready to surrender everything over to you, God. I'm ready to surrender everything over to you. And instantly, my heart was transformed. And my life, my relationships, how I feel about things completely changed.
Your perspective of yourself.
Completely altered perspective of myself and people around me. We're excited for you to join us on this episode. It's going to be different than the other ones we've done. At this point in our lives, our life was just not working for us, and we wanted something new.
Have you ever been there where life just is not working and you want something new? This is where we were. And in our story today, we're going to share some roller coaster of some highs and lows.
Ups and downs. It's a story of me. And you, a story of me and you and the life that we lived during that time frame.
Yes.
Bitterness, resentment.
A complete transformation experience for you. So let's jump in. I am really excited to update those of you who are watching a little bit on the storyline, because we really haven't talked a lot of the storyline, and leading up to this episode was 2017 in the last two episodes that we did. This one is picking up at 2018, where it was starting off to be the best year ever. Our business was doing great. Our marriage was improving. We had been going to marriage conferences and retreats several times a year leading up the last two previous years.
We were focusing on our health more, our bodies. We
were seeing better communication. Our intimacy was improving.
Our arguments were decreasing.
They were. And I think it's important to recognize that a lot of that was some Band-Aid things that we were doing, because we're going to share in future episodes how all of the bandages that we were putting on our marriage came crumbling.
Yeah, I want to say this. So we've talked about this before, but when I went into rehab, that was 2016. This is after I've come out of rehab. I desire a new perspective on life. I knew I did not want anything to do with my past. It was so destructive, and I wanted something new going forward, and I did not know what that was. But I was seeking. I was looking. We had just started attending a church, and I was wanting to get involved in the ministry they have there, the men's stuff that they did. And I heard about the hike. They had a men's hike that I was really interested in going on.
Yeah.
I was interested for many reasons, but one of those is, what is this connection going to be like for me? Like, what can I do? Like, how can I have a better me?
Yeah. And what's cool is on my side is I had been praying that God would bring other men, godly men, into your life, because up to that point, you didn't have really any good, solid friends in your life.
No.
And I could tell you were desperate for that, and we were looking for something new. And so I'm praying that God bring you these men. And in the planning and prepping leading up to the hike, you were going to these meetings and you were being surrounded by men who were all on the path of seeking God. And I would love for you to share just what that experience was like for you being around those men.
I'll start with the prepping part of it, because there's a preparation that goes into preparing the heart, the body, and doing hiking. I've never done hiking before. There's preparation in like what you bring, like the equipment, the logistical things of it. But let me go back to the prepping of my heart. I was able to see men who were sharing vulnerably around the things, the stuff that we all struggle with. They were being open and honest, and they were sharing, hey, this is where I was, and here is where I am now. And they were openly talking about it. I've never been around that type of conversation where someone openly shared their problems and how they got help from it.
Specifically, what I remember you being so shocked is around sexual sin.
Yes.
That men were openly sharing the struggle with other men, and how that made you feel seen and not alone. So
I've told you, and I've told you, ever since 8 years old, I've struggled with sexual sin, with the thought process, with not understanding. And I never thought it would be safe to share this with anyone.
When you thought you were broken and alone.
I thought I was alone. And when I first heard one of the men talking about this, I was like, people talk about that? Men talk about that? I'm not the only one that's experiencing this issue. I was blown away.
Yeah. That was a turning point for you.
I was blown away that it's being talked about in an environment like that.
Mm-hmm. And I remember you sharing, you just desperately wanted what they had, the authenticity to be brave enough and bold enough to share.
That's right.
And look at you now. I just have to say that.
Thank you. Thank you. I do want to talk about what life was like prior to Jesus for me. Yeah. And maybe you can relate to some or most of these things if you don't have Jesus. But one of those is the struggles I have in life. Mm-hmm. The struggles where I was drowning in worry. I had a past that haunted me, that I kept reliving or looking at. I was consumed by the shame and condemnation from my past. I just had this inability to surrender. I had a desire to control or want power.
Because everything felt so out of control.
That's right.
In your life.
That's right. Yes. Mm-hmm. Right. Another one is secrets. They were destroying my life. It reminds me of John 10:10a. The thief, this is Jesus talking, the thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. And what I was experiencing was destroying my life, killing my thoughts, stealing my self-worth, and ruining my relationships around me.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that now. I know you were really struggling too with isolation and fear of people accepting you, and would you fit in with your brokenness and where you are? So
I felt trapped. Mm-hmm. You're right. When you're talking about the isolation, I felt trapped in my life. Like I could not share. I was a prisoner of my own secrets. And I had a lot of internal, like this war of fear. Mm-hmm. That was going on inside of me, this fear of judgment, rejection. Man, what are people going to think about me? I couldn't be vulnerable, or it occurred like I couldn't be vulnerable with people. Mm-hmm. Another one is self-reliance. I was determined to be the little g God of my life, wanting to control everything around me and everyone around me. I wanted to be the one in control because I did not feel like I could control. I did not feel like I could surrender my control to others or to God. Because maybe they won't do it as good as me.
Yeah. And I think you were combating all those things during that time, and so was I, in ways to fix ourselves, to be better than the way we were. And it, like we said a little while ago, that it was all a temporary fix. Like, it's superficial fixing that was happening in our marriage and in ourselves, that the healing that we were experiencing was temporary.
That's right. We were experiencing healing, and it was temporary.
Yeah.
You're right.
So in April was when the hike was supposed to leave. And 2 weeks before, I woke up with an excruciating pain in my leg. And there's actually, in the book, there's a really hysterical story as to how I even ended up there that I'm not going to share publicly. You will have to get the book in order to read that. But I had this thing happen to me, and I ended up in bed, and I woke up with a ruptured disc. And you took me to the doctor, and they scared the crap out of me and said that I may never walk again, that I needed emergency surgery because the bone was pinching off the nerve and it may impact the rest of my life. So here I was at the top of our life, feeling the best in our marriage, the best in my personal life. I was getting healing, and so much stuff had gone right in the first part of 2018, and then wham, I got hit with a huge 2x4, it felt like, that knocked me down. And I was questioning God. I was questioning you because you were getting ready to leave for this hike. And don't you know, they scheduled my surgery 2 days before you were to leave.
Right.
Which meant if you go, you're leaving me. And I was really faced with this perspective of, I really want you to go. I think it'll be good for you. I think being around men is going to be good for you. And I don't want to be second. I want to be chosen. I want you to choose me over everything. And it was a war for me. And I remember deciding you should go. And my heart was in a whole nother world of hurt because I knew you would choose to go. And I knew that would leave me feeling unimportant when I was facing a dramatic experience in my life of back surgery.
Yeah. Someone would have to take you to the bathroom while I'm on my hike. Someone other than you and me would have to be responsible to take you to the bathroom and meet your needs because you just had a really intense surgery. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a difficult time for me too. I needed to make that decision. I remember talking to the leadership of the hike group and saying, I should probably stay. I should probably not go. I should probably stay at the house. And I really desire to go because there's something for me on that mountain. There's something for me on this hike. And he said that you should probably stay then. You should
I didn't know that.
Not go. Yeah, I was very appreciative when you gave me permission and you said, yeah, you should probably go.
I think it was God. Because like I said, my heart was in a whole nother world, but my words were saying go.
Yeah.
I was like I had an intuition that there was something bigger than me happening. I just didn't like it in the moment of what it meant for me.
I was in an area of my life where I really wanted our marriage. Like you can tell in the first part of the story, we're in a part of our life where we wanted something different for our life. We both did. And we were both actively going for it. We were seeking counseling. We were going to marriage courses and therapy, and we were working on how to be better people. And we obviously we didn't have the tools we have now, but we were actively engaged in trying to be somewhere different. And at that time, I really did desire to have a restored, good relationship and marriage with you. And I did not want to leave you. Now, I can see in the past, I probably would have been choosing that over you, but not this time. I wanted our marriage, but I also knew there was something for me. So I really appreciate you allowing that.
Yeah. Well, over the 4 days you were gone, each day got a little worse as far as how I felt about you being gone. I began to feel really bitter and resentful. I wasn't able to contact you at all. And so I was in a lot of pain and couldn't even share my pain with you, which sounds so ridiculous now. But I was just like at home waiting on you.
Ruminating, building up your story, probably. Yeah, that makes sense. Can I share with you where I was during that same time frame?
Yes.
So I have joined the men's group. I have gone through the preparation. I've prepared my body. I've prepared my pack. I'm on the mountain. And the first day, the leadership tells me to pick up a rock. And so I grabbed this rock that's probably about a pound or two. I mean, it's a good-sized rock that has an area, a face on it. I don't know what I'm going to do with this rock, but they said make sure it's kind of flat-ish. So this rock, I get to a point, this is day 1 of a 4-day trip. On day 3, I'm asked to write these burdens, these things that I've carried up onto the mountain that I no longer want to take off the mountain with me. The things I want to give over to God. And I remember writing on this rock all these things, Adele, these things that I was ready to let go of. And as you're listening to this right now, you may be considering, or maybe the Holy Spirit's laying on your heart, there's things that you need to let go of in your life. And that's what I wrote down on this rock, is these things that I just needed to let go of in my life.
I just want to connect the audience with what you're saying, because the reason they had you pick up that rock was to signify weight.
Yes.
And the audience doesn't know this yet, but you were a little ambitious in packing that year.
Yeah, so the desire in hiking is the keeping the weight low. You know, my desire in my pack is to keep it around 32 pounds total. And at the time, I was at 45 or 46 pounds, and they wanted me to put a rock in it.
Yeah, first hike. So you are now you have added external weight to you, and now you're writing down these things that you want to let go of, signifying removal of weight, which I think is really cool.
That is cool. And by the way, I did experience that on that trip. Is at the very last day, I had an opportunity to talk to the men and share with them what I was going to let go. And I threw it off of a waterfall, signifying I'm letting this go. I'm choosing to throw it out where I will never be able to go grab it again, and then come off the mountain. Letting go of these things that held me back.
Yeah.
Earlier, I was talked about my view of God. And in this particular instance, like when I'm on this trip, I had this view of God that God loved everyone and just tolerated me. This sense that I had that I'm just not worthy, I'm not good enough, that I'm a failure in life. I believed these things. I believed that He was disappointed in me for all these areas that I just was falling short in my life. That's what was prevalent for me. But then I just, as I was on this mountain, and even prior, the preparation prior, I think it was a softening of my heart for me to be able to see the truth around what was really going on, the truth around, even though I have this negative viewpoint of who God is, even though I have these lies written on my heart from the enemy that has me feeling unworthy, not good enough, a failure, people judge me. Even through all of that, I believe that that was washed away to be able to see who Jesus was for me on that mountain. I was able to see that those things were like in my life and part of my life, but there was a gift that I was able to pick up from Jesus, a gift that I was able to see that God sent Jesus to come and die for me. Even if I was the only person on this entire earth, he loves me that much that he would come to me, that God would send his son to die for me. And by the way, he does that for you. He died for you and for me. And that is powerful. I was able to see a new view of who Jesus was, that if I chose to surrender to him, that all these things will be washed away, that I will be transformed in my mind. I'll never forget that change. I'll never forget that change that happened to me when I fully was like, all right, I am done being on the throne of my life. I am finished being on the throne of my life, and I am ready to surrender everything over to you, God. I'm ready to surrender everything over to you. And instantly, my heart was transformed. Instantly, I had a transformed heart. That the hardened heart that I felt like I had was softened. That the chains of bondage that were on me, and the way that I give this picture is like these chains that are hooked to me, that have me, is pulling me in different directions. And you may be experiencing the same thing, these chains or these fish hooks that keep pulling you to things that you don't want to go toward. Those chains of bondages were gone, were broken off of me. Depression. I was experiencing depression. Lifted off of me during that time. I felt renewed in my mind, in my body, in my spirit. And I saw it as a new opportunity for a new life, that I don't need to be stuck where I was, that I can have something new right now with Jesus, and the old can be washed away. And so I asked the leaders there, even though it wasn't time for baptism, there was no plan for baptism. That had happened the day prior. We were in an area where it really wasn't that safe necessarily to do the baptism. And I was like, I desire to be baptized right now.
To signify your commitment.
Yeah. I wanted to have a public declaration. Even though I had been saved and baptized as a kid, I've probably been saved 50 times, because I wanted to check that I don't want to go to hell box.
Right.
That's what I wanted to check. Not that I desire a personal relationship with the God who loves me and who sent his son to die for me, so that I don't have to live in this misery and this hell that I live in every day.
Yeah.
It was precious. The group of men, there was 12 of them. All of them took me into the river.
To keep you from floating down.
Yeah, it was the Chattooga River.
Rushing.
The Chattooga River is wild in some sections, and this section was a little wild. And they took me out there. We all had to hold on to each other because of the current, and they baptized me. Forever changed. And that was April of 2018. And we're recording in October of 2024. And my life, my relationships, how I feel about things completely changed.
Your perspective of yourself.
Completely altered perspective of myself and people around me. It's been an amazing experience. By the way, not without trials and hardships, not without circumstances. I have my fair share. I have my fair share of problems, and Jesus says in this world you will have troubles, you will have problems, and he even says if you choose to follow him, you'll have a lot. You will be condemned for following him. I would not trade it for anything. I have had a life so far that has been abundant with the fruit of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, and faithfulness, self-control. Not other control like I wanted to do before, but self-control, personal responsibility for myself. But I also want to share this. I was on a mountaintop. And on that mountaintop, things are easier. I never wanted to leave there. Man, it was blissful. I was around men who were encouraging and uplifting, and they were speaking life and truth into me. And, oh man, I wanted to stay there forever.
Right.
But we're meant for the valley. None of us are meant for the mountaintop. We're meant for the valley where life happens, where we go through circumstances, where we have families, where we have relationships, and they don't always work out. And I had to go back to the valley. And one of the things that was going on in my head is, what are people going to think about me now? What are people going to think about me? What are you going to think about me, Adele? I left one man. I came back a different man. Do I need to shield that? Do I need to only share a little bit with you? Do I share all with you? And I had this new conviction that I never had before of complete transparency with you. Getting rid of all the secrets that I have in my life. And I desired to do that. And I did not know how in the world I would ever share those with you. I had no idea how I would ever share with you the transformation I have with Jesus. It still bothered me. What do people think about me?
Well, and I just want to also share, we've never had conversation on that level before around God. So I imagine she's going to judge me because I'm supposed to already be a Christian. I'm supposed to already have these things. And now I'm admitting that I wasn't, and I have something new. And how do I live into that when she's going to see me as the old person? I mean, I can really see the challenge in sharing, looking back. Not only that, but you were coming home to a bitter, resentful wife.
Yeah.
That
Good
doesn't
point.
make it easy to share.
No, it didn't make it easier to share. No.
Yeah.
Because I remember sharing, I was like, this is not going well.
Well,
And there's other reasons for that. But it did not go as well as I had hoped.
yeah.
Yeah. But eventually, it did. What a good thing to point out in there is I cannot control the reactions of others or how you receive me, but I need to stay in truth. Truth and what I experienced and what I was going through.
What's coming up for me right now that I'm able to see is how the enemy tried to use what happened on that mountain and turn it around and distort it and twist it and make it harm you. Because I remember you came home from that hike, and not only am I already like, what have you been doing for 4 days actually? Because you haven't been caring for me. You've been out there tromping around in the woods, having a good old time.
And I used a phrase with you that was not helpful.
That's what I was about to get to.
Okay.
What happens on the mountain stays on the mountain. And you really took that to heart.
Yeah.
And downplayed what happened on the mountain with me, that I was not left with what you just shared with the audience. I was left with, you got in the river and some men dipped you under, and woohoo, that's supposed to be exciting, but I was left out of the transformation that happened, that had the enemy not used that against you and you believed the fact that I wouldn't accept the new you could have shared this brand new transformation with me that would have had me seeing you different in that moment. But I was actually like more putting you under the microscope with the conversation we had of like, something's not right here. Mm-hmm. Like he's hiding something from me because he's not sharing.
And I was hiding things from you, and I was not sharing. I did not feel safe emotionally safe to share some of the things I wanted to share. Mm-hmm. What would you think about me? I really wanted to be a person of truth and integrity. I desired to share with you my transformation. I desired to share with you the conviction that I had on my heart that I desire a honest, truthful, humble, open, and transparent marriage with you. I really desire that. And I have no idea what that looks like or how to get there. Mm-hmm. No idea. And you may be wondering the same thing. You know, I after listening to you, there's some things that I would like to share with my spouse that I've never had the ability to share. Or maybe you're like, you know what, I think it's my turn. I think it's my time. I feel God calling me deeper in a relationship with him, and I'm ready to surrender. I'm done being the little g God of my life, and I want to come off the throne, and I want to turn it over to the one who's meant to be there. And it might be time for you to do that, to turn your life over to Jesus Christ, because his yoke is easy. His yoke, the burden that you're feeling, you give it to him. He's washed all that under the blood of him. And when he died for you, all sin, all curse, all wiped away. And that can be a freeing life if we choose to accept it. If we choose to lean into that, it'll be a freeing life. And so you may be wondering, like, how do I do that? What is the next step for me?
Mm-hmm. But I just want to come back just for a minute to the person who has received Christ and had their spirit transformed. And then there's this soul and body that makes it really, really challenging to maintain that transformation.
It is.
So much so that it drags them back. And if you're dealing with that, I just want to say that you're not alone. That every person that goes through a spiritual transformation has to walk through what's called sanctification. And that's where we put our body and our soul, which is our mind, will, and emotions, in alignment with our spirit that has been transformed. And that takes work. But in your story, that's what I had to wait for, because I didn't get to see the spiritual transformation. You didn't let me see that because you weren't confident enough to show it. I had to wait for your body and soul to show that there was sanctification, which took a lot longer for me to see. But I'm grateful that I saw that, because that's what actually had me fall back in love with you. Is you came home from this mountain and you shared briefly, but then I started to see this transformation. Like, you were showing up different. You were saying things different. You were loving me different. You were seeing me for the first time. And I couldn't help but notice it. It just took me longer to really see the transformation that I wish you would have shared in the beginning. And I do also see the block that you had there from being able to share. So I wouldn't change our story. But I just wanted to share that for the audience so that they could see that just because you have an immediate transformation doesn't mean there's no more work.
Amen.
There's still work to be done, and that's the lifestyle of living a godly life.
That's it. The Apostle Paul says in Romans 7, this is a human thing, that I know what to do right, and yet I keep doing wrong. What is wrong with me? And then in Romans 8, he says, how do we correct that? We live a spirit-led life. And I
Yeah.
love that you brought that up.
Yeah.
A spirit-led life does not create perfection.
Right.
It creates the ability for us to continually and constantly be more like Jesus through our lives. So the goal is, as I get older, I sin less. Not that I'm sinless, but as I grow older, I sin less through sanctification.
Yeah. Yeah. So we just want to invite you to look at your own life right now. What is an area of your life that just isn't working? That you want something new in your life?
That's a great first step, is just being able to look at it and identify it. Because once you do it, you can't unsee that. You can't let go of that thought process that, now I see that area that I really need to let go of in my life. And then finally, let's go to some journaling questions because we want to make this practical for you. We want to land the plane with options that you can do as well. And so let's identify, what are the areas of your life that are not working currently? So take a look in your marriage, in your personal life. What are those areas?
And then the second question is asking the Holy Spirit, because we're not here to tell you this is your step to take. But the Holy Spirit does know what that first step needs to be. And so ask Him, Holy Spirit, what is the first action step that you want me to take right now in this area that is not working? And allow Him to show up for you and really guide you in what His best will for your life is.
That's good. I have gratitude. I'd like to shift it a little bit and go to gratitude, if that's cool. You good with that?
Yeah.
All right. The gratitude I have for you is during the, 3 weeks now that we've been without internet and power and
Thank
stuff in
you,
our house.
Hurricane Helene. Although we're very grateful for so many things,
We
do not have internet.
We're very grateful, and obviously, I don't want to
It's not
make
a
light on people that are suffering during this season. But I do want to talk about us. The reason I'm grateful is because you have helped me so much in organization of our home and our junk areas in our house, where I have cluttered some areas, some rooms, some garages, some barns, some closets. I've cluttered things, and you have helped me declutter gently, lovingly. You've helped me see, why do you need 300 screwdrivers and 40 hammers in your garage?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Thank you. I am grateful that you have helped me do that. And with love. Lots of love.
Thank you. I receive that. My gratitude is for the man that you are, for the Jesus-loving man that you are. Because it's Jesus in you that is so attractive to me. That light is shining out of your eyes. It comes in your body language. It shows up in every aspect of your life when you're being Jesus and you're seeking after Him. And I love that man with my whole entire heart. So thank you for surrendering to Jesus. Thank you for giving Him the throne in your life so that I can have a leader of our home that I can look up to and respect and be inspired by because of it.
Wow. I received that. Thank you.
You're welcome. I am eternally grateful.
I received that. Thanks, babe.
Yeah.
Great.
I love you. We hope you really enjoyed this. I got one, just haven't used it. We hope you enjoyed this episode, even though it was a little different. We wanted to just give you insight into our story, what it was like for us, and most of all, share the transformation that you went through with Jesus, because it is a pivotal point in our story where God does not stop from there. He continually shows up in our life in abundance,
Amen.
in magnitude. And it's because of your decision that has happened. And so thank you so much for that. And we hope you also continue to join us on every episode and consider subscribing to our channel. We are out to make a difference for marriage by equipping you with the tools and the knowledge that you need to show up as your best self inside your marriage. So we want to invite you to do that right now.
That concludes our season 1 finale. Can you believe it's been 30 episodes?
It's been so life-giving for us to be able to share our story. And we just hope that it's been life-giving for you, that you've found healing and freedom in your own life. And hopefully they've been able to relate to the different experiences that we've had, that God has really grown us in so many areas. I'm so grateful.
I'm thinking of all those episodes. There's so many things we talked about our life, including you in our life, but also including you in the struggles we went through to give you hope and healing as well over those 30 episodes. I cannot wait for 2025 season 2.
Right. Oh, this episode 30 is a very pivotal episode in our marriage, because things drastically change after that. And I'm really excited to go into that season of our marriage.
I know that all of you were waiting on this episode 30, where we talk about our life. It's different than the other episodes, the way they kind of feel, but we really dissect our life and what it looks like in a pivotal 2018 period.
Right.
So season 2, we're going to pick that back up and keep going with it.
We want to invite you to continue joining us every week as we are about to go into an amazing mini series to kick off the new year.
So before we do that, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We pray that you're enjoying your family, that the people around you, you're really soaking that in and enjoying the experience of the holidays.
Yes, I pray that they are a blessing to all of you. I know we've had holidays that were not blessings.
And I imagine people here are also having holidays that are not blessings. So I just pray that over you. I pray that whatever you're experiencing, that the Lord Jesus Christ will give you peace during that season.
Yes. Thanks for that, by the way.
You're welcome.
So as we go into the new year, we are so excited about this little mini series where we are going to set you up to win for 2025.
Who wouldn't want that? For your year to be the best year ever, that you're intentional, that you're really looking at it, that you have an awareness of how you're going to show up for the year.
Yes, and most of all, how do we involve God in all of that? So I want to just share a couple of improvements that we've seen. This will be our 3rd year kind of following this guideline that we're going to be sharing with you. And we have really noticed that there have been some specific things in our life that have improved. So
if we're going to try to talk you into or convince you into something we're going to share, I think it'd be important for you to know the benefits that we have personally experienced in what we're about to share. And so when we set ourselves up to win every single year, and we have now this is our 4th year that we've done this.
I thought it was our 3rd, but it could be 4th.
I'm thinking this is we're coming into our 4th year.
Okay, probably, yeah.
Either way, what we've experienced is improved health,
Improved relationships.
Better relationships. Even in our own relationships, in our parenting, in our friendships, in our family around us. So much better, improved relationships. New insights.
Aligned hearts. That's been a huge one. So those are just a few small things that we wanted to mention of benefits, but there's so many more, and you're going to see that in this series.
I have another one that has been probably the biggest, is answered prayers.
Ooh, how did we leave that out?
We have been able to look back at the prayers that we have prayed, and we've been able to see answers to those prayers.
Yes. So we're not releasing an episode on Christmas Day because we want you just to enjoy your families, and we want to do the same.
We will.
But following that, January 1st, we've got a incredible, powerful live conversation coming to you. It'll be at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Please join us for that. We would love for you to come and engage with us, ask your questions, hear how you can set yourself up to win for the year, and have God in the middle of all of it.
It is my favorite thing to do in this ministry right now is to do these live conversations with you on YouTube, being able to share some of the things that God has placed on our heart. But in the meantime, you guys are asking questions that we see online, and we're able to engage with you all throughout the conversation. And, going back to some of our clients, they go watch our live, and they say that is the best episodes that we have.
Those are their favorites. Yeah. Ours as well.
Mine too.
Yes.
Mine too.
So please join us. We look forward to that. And until then, Happy New Year. And that's
Invite
a wrap.
them to do what?
I'd already said subscribing.
Okay, gotcha.
Subscribe, hit the bell, make sure your notifications are turned on for future episode drops.
That's right.
And comments are always encouraged.
Yes, they are.
Now you can give her a high five.
That's a wrap.
Wrap. Nala.
What? We hope you also continue to
We're excited you're here for this episode. It's going to be different than other episodes that we've done. So stick around. No.
That was great.
Yeah? Okay.
I think you got better.
Okay. We are excited for this episode. It's going to be different than some of the other episodes we've done. So you're going to want to.
Good time to journal.
Yeah.
And at this point, you're just going to go right in. And at this point, we're starting.
We're excited for this episode. It's going to be completely different than other episodes we've done. At this point in our lives,
Oh, you did great.
Thanks.